Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from Indiana, Mr. Rokita, and the gentleman from California, Mr. Miller, each will control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Indiana.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks on H.R. 2083.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in strong support of H.R. 2083, the Protecting Students from Sexual and Violent Predators Act, and yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, a report released by the Government Accountability Office in December 2010 examined 15 cases where individuals with histories of sexual misconduct were hired or retained as teachers, support staff, volunteers, and contractors. In 11 of these 15 cases, those individuals had previously targeted children. Despite the fact that states have varying policies intended to protect children from sexual predators in schools, the GAO determined the policies were largely inconsistent and insufficient. According to the report, states don't consistently perform pre-employment background checks, and when they do conduct these checks, they are not always fingerprinted or connected to the National Criminal Database. There was widespread agreement on both sides of this aisle that more must be done to protect students. We have worked with our colleagues to advance legislation that will ensure that every school employee, from the cafeteria workers, Mr. Speaker, to the administrators, to the janitors, to the teachers, principals, and librarians, that everyone is subject to a complete background check that includes the FBI fingerprint identification system and the National Sex Offender Registry. Now today, we have an opportunity to finish the fight by sending this bill, the Protecting Students from Sexual and Violent Predators Act, to the Senate. H.R. 2083 will require states that receive funds under the Elementary and Secondary Education Act to have policies and practices in place that ensure each school employee is subject to a complete national criminal background check. Now, Mr. Speaker, a similar provision was offered by 2 of my colleagues and good friends, both from Pennsylvania, Mr. Fitzpatrick and Mr. Meehan. And that provision was included in the House-passed Student Success Act from last month. The Protecting Students from Sexual and Violent Predators Act is common sense legislation that will help ensure students in schools across the country to ensure that they're safe from sexual criminals. So, all that being said, Mr. Speaker, I simply urge at this time my colleagues to support H.R. 2083, and I will reserve the balance of my time.